time for you to know and for us to start our show. Have a drink and take a seat here on Brewsic and Boozies.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's episode of Brewsic and Boozies. Chris is hiding his shirt right now because we are matching. I can't really hide mine. But tonight we're talking about The Mummy from 1999. We both have our Mummy t-shirts on. Hamanoptera hardcore is what they say. And then on the back they have Brendan Fraser yelling, "Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river."
Is there one where it has Benny going, "Looks like I've got all the horses"?
That'd be funny, like a couple's t-shirt.
Yeah.
But yes, we are talking about The Mummy from 99, not to be confused with the Tom Cruise Mummy.
I don't think anyone's confusing them. At least I'm not. I don't know anybody who ever has acknowledged that movie. It's pretty
I haven't even
pathetic.
seen it.
I've heard okay things in the sense that it tried. But yeah, just like, I was like, what are they trying to do? And I realized they were trying to reboot that whole monster, Universal monster movie in a grounded, like they do at every remake nowadays. So I understood the purpose of making one, but also I was just like, okay. And then I was just like, that trailer, I remember just being like, so just like, no. Like, Tom Cruise just turn the camera on and say, just go. Hello, Joyce. Did you hear that?
Joyce?
Mom.
Oh, Tom Cruise. You were for some reason an action star. No clue why. But first things first. I am drinking. I did have an accident before Chris and I got on this call. I opened a beer and out of nowhere it just exploded everywhere.
I'm so glad I missed it.
Like a waterfall. Everything is soaked right now. But now I have 18 watt IPA, which is pretty good. From Single Cut Brewery, which I actually didn't look up where this was from, but it's very good.
Surprised it doesn't have. You didn't. I mean, yeah, I get what you had, but that'd be great if they had a, 1.21
gigawatt,
like a City of the Dead beer.
Oh, yes, like a themed beer for every movie we watch. It would be great.
I know. We wish.
Hamanoptera hop.
Yeah, there you go. Hamanoptera. Or I don't know how to say it. Okay, so just remind me, there's probably 2 or 3 impressions I have to do from this movie, if not more, but definitely 2 or 3 I have planned to do somewhere in this. And maybe once we get to those parts, I try to do them as best I can. And you're going to be like, okay.
I don't know what they are, so
I try to give you a random quote or a random impression from every movie. So I got you lined up.
This movie is so quotable. Like there's so many good quotes in this movie. Which you'll do your impressions and I'll attempt to do an impression, but I'm not very good at it. But are you drinking anything? You got anything? You got your tea?
Yeah, I got coffee.
Oh, coffee.
It's got some stuff in it. Some magic.
Some magic in it.
Blood. Rivers ran red and were as blood. All right, that wasn't one of the impressions, but that one came to mind.
Or I was going to say, what did they drink? Glenlivet?
Blood. What?
When they find the Glenlivet bottle, I forget what year it is. They're like, Glenlivet.
12 years old. He was a stinky fellow, but he had good taste.
That's not a good impression, but you tried.
I said, I'm going to try to do okay impressions. Okay. Sorry.
So The Mummy, I'm embarrassed sometimes to say this because I know there's some people that don't like this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I can watch this movie over and over and over again. Never get sick of it. In fact, when I was a kid, I had the DVD
Those people
player.
are wrong. I'm sorry.
What?
Those people are wrong.
No, they are wrong.
If they don't like it. Yeah.
This movie has everything, so I don't know what there's to like not like about it.
Yeah.
But I used to keep it in my DVD player, and like that would be the DVD I would watch.
Wait a minute. You did not just say that.
What?
So I have exactly what you just said. I had it in VHS form, and I would leave it in my VHS, and every morning I would just hit play.
I do also have.
And every night I just continue watching it, and then the next day repeat the whole thing.
Over and over and over again.
Yep. Same thing.
And so this movie came out, we were talking about it earlier, when I was 8, you're whatever, a couple years old.
I was like 25. Yeah.
You look remarkably
3,000 years old. Have regenerated.
But yeah, I was 8 years old when this movie came out. And it's probably the first like horror, leaning towards a horror genre movie that I saw as a kid. But I remember being so scared of this movie, but loving every second of it. My brother, probably a different story, did not enjoy it, was scared of it, did not get a kick out of the movie at all. But I loved it. And I remember my friends and I being like obsessed with it when we were younger. Mm-hmm. And we went to the movies to see the second one and the third one, my family. Like we all loved this movie so much.
You went to the third one. I give you props for that.
I don't remember.
I couldn't do it. Nope. 2 was it for me. I still never seen it. I think sometimes it pops up on TV and I just go, nope, change. I just can't. That ruined it for me.
Not good. But yeah, and then we always talk about Universal Studios. My family loves going to the studios. We went the year that the ride opened. I have a t-shirt I still wear it from the year the ride opened. I love the movie, and my mom and I have a pact: if they ever close down the ride or retheme it, we're not going anymore to the studio. Because there's no point.
Well, obviously you're a frequent, you're a frequent visitor of Universal Studios, the one I assume in California, right?
I go to both frequently.
You go to both of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last time I was at a Universal was in California when I was probably the same age when this came out, or maybe a little before it. What year was episode 1?
It was
99 or 98.
I
think it's like right around there.
It was the year before this one came out, I think, because ILM did the CGI for this movie.
Yeah, I looked up the date when this movie came out, and it was May 4th or something like that of 1999. So, so maybe like the year before. So I don't think they did anything yet with The Mummy. At least maybe they started to. Maybe it was out by then. Maybe I saw or something like that. But I didn't get to do any of the rides or anything like that.
I think they opened the ride in Hollywood after they opened the ride in Florida. So it was a couple years before it.
I don't go on the rides anyway, so it was kind of pointless. Even if it was there, I wouldn't go on it.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So I love it. I still love that ride. It's so fun. And it's like a roller coaster, but then there's also like showpieces, and you get the full scale animatronic mummy. It's great. It's fun. They have the music pumped in from the movies. Brendan Fraser makes a cameo from 20 years ago.
He's make that quick buck.
Yeah. Oh, I think we should acknowledge. I don't understand why Hollywood did him dirty. I don't get why they just shunned him.
He's had an interesting life for the TMZ people out there. I think there's a lot to him, but it's funny you say that. So this kind of ties into one of my biggest things about this movie is that the fact that I've only had seen him in the other movies that I've known as a kid, which was George of the Jungle, and I still didn't really know who he was then. People knew him from the 90s world being Encino Man, which I had never seen. I think I saw that super late. I think I saw it like, I don't know, on HBO one night. It was on late, and I was like, oh, there he is. So it makes sense that they, cast him as a fake Tarzan, you know. And I don't know. I draw some parallels to this in Tarzan. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I don't know, kind of like the adventure. I don't know. It makes no sense. There's no real like draw. I don't know. It reminds me something with George of the Jungle. Anyways, I don't know. But what I was saying, he was like, he was kind of upcoming actor, I guess, around that time. But if you look at his Hollywood IMDb from beginning of that year, it was Blast from the Past, which was in February, and then you have this movie came out. I think it was May, and then what do you have after that? Bedazzled, I think, was 2000, and then after that was the Mummy sequel, and then you know, so he had big hits, but he had big movies come out within that short time period. So, and then like Hollywood, I think just like, you know, he had his run, and then couldn't really see him in too many other things.
He's coming back now.
Issues.
He's coming back.
He's a good actor. He just does weird movies.
Yeah, he doesn't make good choices. He was in a movie called Inkheart. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Nope.
I love it. It's so good. Highly suggest it. I'm not going to talk about it.
I know he's doing well with that
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. Yeah, is the robot guy. I don't watch too many of the DC ones, but of the live action originals, I mean, but I know there's a big following of that show, so I think he's doing fine.
Good for him. I hope he can come back out.
George of the Jungle 2, or like Return of the Jungle with him would be amazing. George
Return to the Jungle.
Yeah,
make it happen.
That. But anyways, as we digress, I was just saying, like, what was you were saying you saw it with your friends? Did you see, but you said you saw it in theaters multiple times?
I don't know if I saw the first one in the theater because I was 8, and unless I went with my parents, which is possible.
Because I did go with my parents, and that's quite a story too. Actually, it's not at all. But it was like a memorable thing. It was because I remember seeing the trailer for this movie being so like, this movie's going to be stupid, or I don't care. I wasn't big into horror at that age. And I was just like, this is going to be like, and then they were like, we're going to go see The Mummy. We used to go like, you know, Saturday mornings, catch a matinee. And I was like, we're singing The Mummy. I'm like, this is going to be so scary. I'm going to freak out the whole movie, have nightmares, all this stuff. And I was so proud that it was not at all. It was pretty kid friendly for what it was, in the sense that like wasn't too gory, wasn't over the top, and like the scary scenes there pop up a couple times, but like I was like impressed that I made it through the whole movie and not like going crazy, not wanting to run out of the theater.
Well, that's what it's it's like not straight horror, so it has horror bits to it, but it's an adventure movie, so you stick around because there's those scenes where it's kind of scary and whatever, but it's an adventure movie. You need to see what happens at the end. You want to see the action, even as a kid.
Oh yeah. I remember just seeing how funny it was. This was hysterical.
It's hard to mix, like, it's not hard to mix adventure and comedy, obviously, but it's hard to mix horror and comedy without it being like something like Shaun of the Dead kind of comedy, like where it's.
Yeah, this movie has its own thing, for sure.
Like this
movie, is not trying to be a comedy or trying to be a horror with comedy. It is doing its own adventure, comedy, horror, all mixed in one, and it does it so well that I wish the movie still did. I feel like this one really is a good model to show how it's possible, and like it's just so funny how they just were able to just like say all these things, do all the silly things they do, and yet you just love it. You're not fine. It doesn't take away from it. That's what I mean.
Yeah. It doesn't overshadow everything else, the comedy. It's there for the parts where it needs comic relief, and it fits perfectly, and it works right down to the mummies in the very end, when you have like those like the guard mummies that are like marching, and then you have those like silly mummies that are like goofy-ish.
Oh, those mummies. Okay.
Yeah. Like they're silly and it's comic relief, but like it works.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I remember laughing so hard during those scenes, the fight scenes. So funny. Yeah, it does. It is a little cartoonish, this movie. So if you're not for that, I could see why people think it's stupid. But I mean, like you said, it's fun. You gotta like kind of suspend, disbelief here and there and just enjoy yourself. The movies. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean, this movie is riddled with historical inaccuracies.
Well, yeah, I was studying Egypt like the year later in school. And it was just like, we just saw The Mummy and we were like, we know everything about it. We don't know anything.
Nothing.
We knew nothing. Yeah.
There's so many.
A little bit about the mummification, and that was about it. Maybe the scarabs came up in that they're found, the dung beetles. That's all they are, Yeah,
like they don't even.
That's really all they do. Yeah.
But it's okay. Like it works in this movie. Like if you want to say study his history and like whatever, and if it's not true, it's fine because you're creating this world in this movie, and that's the way the world is. Like from the very first scene, it's like historical inaccuracy after another. But it's fine because I feel
like that's for people who come to New York when we tell them we do all these things and we have all these things, and they're like, no, that's silly. Like it's just like we put ourselves so far apart from that side of the world that we would believe anything they tell us happens in that side of the world, even if it's fictional. So,
True, which is a little ignorant of us, I guess, but what are you gonna
it's true.
I mean, you can learn the real.
Hey,
what?
I didn't know those bugs ate people.
I mean, if you believe that, I'm like, it could be true. I'm gonna get comfortable here on the couch, everyone.
I was gonna say, you're very just kind of like the guest star today.
Lounging.
Yeah, I feel like Jimmy Fallon. Just like on my desk, my coffee.
Laughing at your own jokes.
Yeah.
Laughing at your own jokes.
I don't know. Anyways.
There's one thing I want to talk about before we talk about like actual scenes and the movie itself, is how well some of this CGI like holds up today. And like, I'm a huge fan of this movie, so I've watched every YouTube video, every behind the scene. I watched so many different things, every article about trivia. But the CGI that they did for this movie and like what they did to capture a lot of the mummy stuff, it was just it's so cool. And like a lot of the CGI holds up in the movie, not all of it, but like that sandstorm to me still looks great for 1999. Like great job.
Yeah.
All the different mummies, why he's sucking everyone dry, like look great still.
Yeah, that was more the impressive side for me, I think, because like I said, I'm a fan of CG from the beginning of CG time. Whenever I saw it in the movie, I was very like excited to see it because it was so different for the time. And it's like, oh my gosh, that looks so realistic for our knowledge of what computer imagery should look like. Because all we had was like video games and they were very boxy looking and very kind of phony. And then to see this on a big screen interacting with like real live action people, there was something kind of, like we said, like magical and like, the fact that we've come that far to see almost a lifelike, fictional character, monster, or whatever it is. And like for me, I remember seeing The Mummy when you first see him. I think it's probably, like you said, maybe one of the first regenerative scenes, or he takes the guy's eyes and tongue. Maybe that scene, you see a lot of cool detail work that was done with just the skeleton and the flesh, and it all just kind of, I'm sure for that time that was. I also watched a little bit behind the scenes, and they said they spent like a long time just learning how muscles and skeletons work, and just to see if they can just pull that off. And it was a lot of work and just challenging, but it still holds up. Yeah, they do. It's very simple. They're doing something kind of simple, very difficult, but like, today everything is CG in like one scene, and they have to do that just to blend it all together. But it's like when you take the right time and the right moves to make sure that the lighting and all the detail work is done correctly, which this movie shows you, it holds up. It's good quality, like thing they made. So,
and it says a lot when they try not to do all CGI either. Like a lot of the mummies, especially towards the end when they do the different kinds of mummies, like you have those silly mummies, like that whole scene where Brendan Fraser's like fighting all of those silly mummies, and those are all CGI. So if you like watch behind the scenes, Brendan Fraser is literally fighting air.
Yeah, nothing. I realized that too. I was watching the fight scene, like he's doing nothing, but he's doing good.
But the soldier mummies that like march, those are all. I always thought they were CGI, but those are all real people.
Yeah. The only time I think CGI is used is like when they do that scream and they're like,
oh yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But like you're right, that those are real people that are in some kind of prosthetics and costume. Yeah, for sure.
I always thought they were CGI. I didn't know that, which is, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, it's good. I just remember the CGI trailer of like him walking or him looking, the mouth moving. That's the one thing I always point out in this movie. The mouth kind of creeps me out how big it like just gets, and just like really there's a scene where he's like it's like down to here, and I'm just like
I know what you're talking about.
and I thought it was like, he's a mummy or is he a vampire? Like, what is he supposed to be?
Yeah, that's the
scene. And I was just like, why is his mouth doing that?
They're all saying Imhotep, Imhotep, and he does that,
and then he's just like. Like it moves so much. Like my friends and I used to say that. It's like how big his mouth moves. It's funny. That wasn't one of the impressions I was gonna do, but that is a good one.
There's just so many good ones too here. Well, speaking of CGI too, so to bring up Universal Studios again, when you go to Hollywood, they have their special effects show, and I think they open the show with this. They show the beginning pan through the Sphinx and all the pyramids, and I assumed again that was all CGI, but some of it is miniatures. So I think that's awesome.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think they wheel out like a prop of it. I don't know if it's the actual one from the movie, but they wheel out like a miniature.
I just noticed too, when they get to. They meet up for their first time on the island. Like they get their ship, caught on fire or whatever. The Magi people took over, and then they had to escape. And then they get on the wrong side of the river, and then they meet up again. They come to that meeting point. If you look, I don't know, is that sky real? It looks so cool. Like the hues in that. It looks very believable. So I always assumed that it was just really shot like that, but it may not be. I don't know. It looks great though.
It does.
Just the imagery is awesome, no matter what it is. It's really
very cool. They never explain why the sun shows the city. Like they never explain that magic that happens there. And
I was watching it just now, and I'm like
we're about to be shown the way.
Maybe it's like the Aurora Borealis. Some kind of shooting off lighting and you don't see it. I don't know, the sun and the haziness of the sand. I don't know. I was making up some kind of, is it WandaVision? She's just got a shield going on around it. The Imhotep shield.
That can only be revealed by the sun. Like you can't see it in the moonlight.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's also one of my favorite lines where he goes like, would you look at that? Hymenoptera. that guy over the top acting for sure, and it's great.
All of those actors that play the cowboys are so good.
You know what?
They're really great.
I'm gonna say this for everything about this movie. This is the first time I saw a movie, like I was saying before, but except for Brendan Fraser, I didn't know anybody in this movie. It's so well.
Even Rachel,
such a not famous
Weisz,
cast.
No one knew who she was either. I mean, she's an Oscar-winning actress now, but no one really knew.
But the only other person that was in it, and he's not in it that much, and I don't know why. Maybe he was he wasn't supposed to be in the movie, but was Van Pelt from Jumanji is in this.
Oh yeah,
and he's in
Titanic.
And he's very short. Yeah, he's got a very small part. And I felt like he was kind of fizzling out of Hollywood around this time. He did great, like during the 90s too. He was a pretty big actor. He did Jumanji. He did Anaconda, Titanic. I think he was in. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Richie Rich. He was in. Macaulay Culkin. He's Cadbury. He's one of my favorites in that movie. Master Richie. Never mess with another man's. What does he say when he goes like, never mess with a man's teeth or something?
I don't know.
Oh, a man with.
You remember the weirdest things about movies.
Like I said, it's my trivial knowledge I give back to the world. I release it here. There's no use staying in here.
Oh my god. But yeah, let's start talking about the movie. Let's dive in.
First thing that scared you in the movie. Go. I know. For me, anyways.
The scarab beetles. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably the only thing that really scared
You mean
me.
when he's wrapped up in the mummy and they throw the scarabs in the coffin, or later?
No, later when.
Okay.
I think the first thing is like when you hear them, just making that sound. Yeah. That
I think okay. Well, the fat stinky guy, whatever his name was, I think that kind of freaked me out because it wasn't so much the beetle in his skin; it was how much chest hair he had when he went like this. He's just like, and just seeing that kind of gross imagery of it being like in your skin was a little kind of gross. Yeah.
He also ran into that wall pretty hard to kill him.
Well, I thought he was kind of dying himself, getting all his organs eaten at the same time. I thought his brain was kind of just going out.
Maybe it was only one scarab beetle,
but,
though.
You take anything hard to a wall,
I guess.
You'd probably die either way. He was dying anyways. That beetle is slowly but surely, feasting on him. But yeah, the first time I got scared in the movie was where Evelyn's working in the library and she looks in the coffin and it's like, ah!
Jonathan, yeah.
Jonathan, yeah, it was her brother. I was just like, ah! I remember I almost like, it's like, okay, this movie's going to destroy me. And this is like early on. But I'm lucky. That was probably the scarier part of the whole movie. And for me, just like a pop-up like that.
Yeah, like the jump scare.
So yeah, that's my scariest part, probably. It's a couple of the scary imagery stuff, but nothing that like maybe pop or just like
the scene with
the Beatles are scary for sure, but
the scene with Jonathan, not Jonathan, the scene with Benny when he sees the mummy and he pulls out all of those chains, all the like religious relics, and starts praying in languages. Yeah, that scene scared me because, the mummy's really scary there because he's just like
he just comes slow, and
maybe even the scene when what's his name, Mr. Burns, maybe is he the guy who loses his tongue in his eyes?
Mm-hmm. I just learned that. As I had it on before. I was like, oh, that's his name.
When he loses his glasses and it's just blurry around him and that like ominous music is playing.
Yeah, that part freaked me out. Where you see him. Well, that in general,
like
he's in one side. That's like a trick they use in horror movies, and they do it so well in this movie, where you're expecting it to be close by the character, and you see something go past them, and then he turns around, and then it just pops right in front of the screen. Maybe maybe vice versa. They do that both ways, where it's like you see him first in the front, and then you see him crawling in the back. That's like a cool way of just kind of keeping the audience kind of on their seat. Yeah, suspense there for sure.
Yeah, I think that part definitely scared me too when I was younger.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, it's like I know when everything's coming, so it's like nothing's gonna scare me.
I know. That's the problem with watching any movie for multiple times. You can't get scared of something or know it's coming, but like
but that's okay.
Yeah, like I said, I was so scared to go see this movie, and I'm so happy I was able to enjoy myself. And I was like, this movie was awesome, and it was also just like it was just so funny, and I remember just loving it so much.
Yeah, I still love it. It's one of my favorite movies. It's like on my top 5.
It is. It's great. The humor in this movie is probably the highlight, though, for me. And how funny Brendan Fraser is as a straight guy, but he has this kind of Harrison Ford type of swagger, but he's also just being, he's also being like kind of the I want to say he's being himself, more or less. He's not trying to be anything else. He's trying to be like just the regular guy. So I like that about him. But he's also just been like, yeah, I don't got time for this. Like, I like how he's just like, come on. He's very just like, let's go. He doesn't like try to believe in too much of it. He knows what's there. He wants maybe some of the treasure. Very, very Han Solo, I feel, for this movie.
Yeah. Well, it's also like he believes in it and he doesn't want to go back to Habanaptra, but the only thing that lures him back is them paying him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he does believe there's something there. Right. Yeah.
And then even so when everything hits the fan and they go back to, I don't know where they go somewhere. They're in like the hotel room for some reason.
Cairo.
All of a sudden they have a hotel room. Are they in Cairo?
Yeah. It's called like Boyode or something with the B. Barnyard, Bernard, I don't know. Something like that.
He's still trying to get out of there. He's like, we need to leave. We need to go.
Yeah. Like, when were they there?
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. I don't understand the plot holes. There's so many, first of all, continuity errors in this movie. So many of them. There's also so many plot holes I don't understand. This one is a huge one. They go to Habanaptra straight from the boat, which sinks. And then all of a sudden, they have a hotel room when they leave Habanaptra.
Yeah, I feel like there's a chunk of this movie missing, for sure.
Yeah, and I thought maybe there was a deleted scene. I couldn't find evidence of it anywhere.
Okay, maybe on a DVD. Well, you have a DVD. You have the DVD, right, of this? And
yeah, there's no deleted scene of this. And I googled it too. I was like, I need to know why there's missing. Like,
you got to call the editor.
Winston acts like their best friend, the pilot.
Yeah,
Winston.
I'm like, how do they know this guy? We just put the gap together that like they just were there at some point before they left to Habanaptra. And you're supposed to buy into they know everybody there. And I'm like, how do they get back then?
It took them so there is a deleted scene. I will tell you this. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's the cowboys on the boat saying it's going to be a 3-day boat ride and then 2-day camel ride through the desert. So 5 days.
They get back in an hour.
So like they got there and then eventually they go back to the Museum of Antiquities, which is where Evie starts this whole journey.
I feel like, you know what? I'm thinking now, maybe there was supposed to be a scene when they got to wherever they got to, where they get the camels and stuff. Is that outside the hotel?
Maybe.
Man, they pulled a fast one on us because even I'm trying to figure that out and I just bought it. I don't know why.
It makes
that
no
is
sense.
Funny. I've never put that together till you brought it up how terrible this movie is. So
it's not terrible. It's just the plot hole is
it's a plot hole. You're right. It doesn't make sense. I don't know.
It's important, I guess, but
whatever. We have Back to the Future issues. We can keep going all day with every movie we love. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. We enjoy it. But I wanted to also bring up to you. I think it was. Hang on one sec. I had it here for you. It was a question. Oh, this was it. The death scenes I thought were done very, very clever in this movie. They really play with the death scenes of the guys, the American guys, and just some guys got shot up or whatever. But I mean, for them, that's where kind of the cleverness comes in, how to not go over the top gory.
Yeah.
And to see how you can do so much with so little. Yeah. You do a cutaway or you do music or sound effects or you zoom up on like just the last guy, he gets sucked up
in a shadow.
All they do is zoom up on Benny and he's just like yeah. I mean, it's so effective.
That's the last guy. No, I'm thinking the other guy, the guy who's like, I'll take a shot of bourbon and a fifth of bourbon and the chaser bourbon.
Even that kind of messed me up. That scene is weird because he's just levitating like that, and then in seconds he just—it's
a shadow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shadow. Like
it's so cool.
And it's not being too gory. Yeah, it's scary and it's gross, but it's not over the top in the sense that you see it happening. It's always this cutaway or some kind of clever shadow or whatever, and then you see their bones and skin gone. So it's kind of crazy how they decided to do all that. It's just clever.
Even his guy missing his tongue. Like you can tell he's missing his tongue, but it's not like ew, gross. And he's so good at doing that like voice.
Oh yeah, that always kind of grossed me out. It still does. I can't think about like my tongue not being in my mouth, so it's like ugh.
No tongue or eyes. It's like whoa. You brought up gore, and I think I don't know how true this is, but some of the original directors they were looking at for this movie were one of them is Clive Barker, who did Hellraiser, which is extremely gory. And it was going to have an R rating, which would have been a totally different movie. I think that kind of gore was very popular in the 90s, though, so understandable. And then another director, I don't know how true this is either, but Joe Dante, who directed Gremlins, also rumored to direct this one, which also would have been a different movie completely. Probably too funny, but I can't imagine this movie being gorier. Like they went. I loved the original Mummy movie from the 30s, 1932. I want to say that movie came out. Don't quote me on that, but I love that movie, and you don't really even see anyone die in that movie, but he's covered in like bandages, and it's all kind of like hokey mummy look. And then this movie, the mummies are like gross and juicy looking, but it's not gory, like in a way. Like I don't remember being a kid and being like, ew, that's gross. Like I was like, no, that's what a mummy looks like. He looks like he's dry and old and decayed. I think they did.
Yeah, I think we always assume a mummy had the wrap all over him. You know, that's kind of like our imagery of mummies with like the rotting kind of corpse, but which is essentially what this movie is doing. But they took it more to a realistic approach and try to just, bend the laws of what a decaying corpse would look like and move like. And I think, and also just like the way his mouth moved always freaked me out. It's like really when he kisses her and then it just goes back into like the regular mummy mouth. I was like,
yeah, it makes a sound too. Like that's another thing with this movie. The sound effects are so good. Like it makes like a weird sound when he kisses her when he has the mummy mouth. It's like disgusting. I love
he really was just making out with that Burns guy. Do you think about that?
Oh my God, so true. Oh no. So to jump back to the beginning, the opening scene. First of all, the music is great. You get like an intro to like kind of all of the themes of this soundtrack. You have like the Imhotep theme and then like that romancy theme.
Yeah, like I think it's almost like Florence of Arabia. I don't know, one of those old classic movies. Yeah, kind of reminds me of that. Going through the desert, they nail it. Yeah, for sure. And
then you have like the other theme that's like the adventure theme. So I love the opening because it gives you all that, but then you get that like foreboding kind of sound with like the Imhotep stuff. So it sets the scenes really well. But there's so many good sound effects in the beginning of the movie that I love. Like when they go to stab the Seti the First, like I feel like it makes such a gross, violent sound when they're stabbing him. And
what about when they take his tongue? And they go,
yeah, like there's so many.
Also, not being gory. It's a cutaway. They get that guy to step in front. See,
and you don't need to see the tongue getting cut. It's just like,
you just go,
no, yeah, that probably sucks.
It doesn't have to be gory. It just has to you get it. Effective.
Yeah. There's a really cool sound effect when he's being buried by the sand. And they're showing him being buried, and like you can hear every shovel and every kick of sand that goes down. And I don't know, I just love it. It just like gives so much to the scene because they could have just had voiceover with music.
And it's clever that they use the guy, and it is that guy narrating the whole story, and it makes sense, but like you can go that whole movie not realizing it's that guy, and it's like it's perfect.
Yeah,
he is such a great voice. That guy, I love him. By the way, that was one of my other things I want to bring up. How much he is the underdog in this movie.
He's great.
We told you to go, but you refused.
He has a very distinct accent.
I am a gigolo.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know him from anything
he's also
else
Gigolo
except for
from
Deuce Bigalow.
Deuce Bigalow. Yeah.
But so a piece of trivia for you.
Yep.
His character was supposed to be completely covered in tattoos, not just the ones that he has on his face. But
He's too pretty for that.
Yeah, Steven Sommers thought he was too attractive, so they scrapped it.
See, I knew it. He's a gigolo.
He is a gigolo. He is a very attractive man.
I told you, he's like under Brendan Fraser. He's right there of like, you know, the superheroes in this movie. Very
Everyone
cool.
is pretty attractive in this movie. I think we can agree.
I know,
on that.
and I was just thinking how when I was going to bring this up, I was not too over the top for Rachel Weisz as I mean, like I thought she was pretty, but I wasn't like over the top for her. But like the more I watch it, something grows on me with her. I don't know. She just looked like she's just having the ball of her life, just kind of just smiling, riding the camel, and just like, you know, it's like, you know, how she talks and she's like so excited about everything. I'm just like, oh, that's just awesome. Like she has such a charming personality to her in this movie. She like really stands out more you watch
she really
it.
owns that character. Like it's her, like very much her.
Okay, so that was the first impression I'm gonna do is her. One of two. Ready?
Okay.
Teet 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 teet. Hot 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 hot. Teet teet. Ooh, ooh. My friend used to do that all the time because we loved the Mummy. We used to watch all the time. He'd be like, teet, 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 hot, hot, hot.
I love when he
some
takes
kind of call for the camel.
Takes the like whip and like hits the other guy.
Yeah.
Does he have Benny or something? I don't remember, but it's really funny.
Oh yeah, he's beating up Benny on the camel. And it's like, serves you right, and throws him. But my other favorite line she has when she's looking for the book on the map on the wall,
Patience,
and they're trying to find the book of Amun Ra, and she goes like, "It's in whatever. Take that, Benbridge scholars."
Yeah, because like
over the top. She's so like I found her kind of annoying the first time I saw her, and then now as I've watched it as an adult, you know, you get to understand her character a little bit more.
That's the setup for this movie, though, and I never realized it. It's like
it's her fault. The whole movie,
scholar.
By the way.
What?
It's her fault. She opened the book. She read it.
It is her fault, yes, but it's also she sets up the whole movie because she needs Benbridge scholars won't accept her because she doesn't have enough experience.
Yeah.
So she sets out on this adventure because she's like, I need to become a Benbridge scholar.
I got it.
I know.
Open the book.
Let me read from this.
Here we
book.
go.
You mustn't read from the
I got
book.
experience. I'm gonna dazzle you all, Benbridge scholars. But that's what I love about Brendan Fraser. He just says like, I told you not to mess with that.
It's not like he like really tried to stop her. He just let her do it, and then he was like, "I told you not to."
I know. That's why it's so funny.
Harder.
He goes like, "I said not to do that." That's like everybody just blaming you ladies for doing everything when we didn't say anything to begin with.
Great easy line is, "What's a place like this doing in a girl? No, what is?"
Yes, that's what she says. He goes like, "You're probably wondering what is a place like me doing in a girl like this."
That's a great scene. He's like,
I am a librarian.
Said with such.
It's so funny, this movie. I love it.
It's great. Like everyone's so good. Like these characters are so believable. The acting is great. Even down to the cowboys. It's like everyone's so perfect. It's amazing.
And it's like and Jonathan, like he was so funny, and I never saw that guy in anything. Like all these actors, I didn't see them in anything.
What's his name? John Hannah. I don't really know of anything he's done except for I used to like Spartacus. I don't know if you watched that show. It was like a show.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've and I never watched it, but I know he was in it from like commercials. Yeah. Recently,
I think he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. I don't know if he's still. I don't even know if that show's on.
He kind of fell off the. He kind of fell off the wagon for acting. I think not in the sense that like I don't know, they just don't want to cast him, but I don't know. He was great in this movie. It's a great role for him, and also like I love him in the second one with the kid. Like they go back. Yeah. You can watch that whole movie.
They have such
So,
chemistry.
did you watch sorry, I just thought of it. There was a Mummy TV show.
Yes, I
as
was
well,
gonna bring
Mummy
it
the
up.
animated series, and I was just jogged my memory. I never watched it really, but I remember that being on TV and trying to, tag along.
I don't remember it, but I do remember watching it.
Some of those movies for
animated
were there was Men in Black. There was like those 90s movies they're trying to pawn on us for merchandising, and some of them are okay. I get it. I mean, Men in Black works, and you do Alien, new case, but I'm like the Mummy. I'm like,
Well,
maybe Jackie Chan.
Men in Black's a comic book, so it kind of translates well to cartoons.
Really? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Men in Black started as a comic book, and that's how it got turned into a movie. Cool. Yeah, I always thought the Mummy would make a good graphic novel or comic book because it's.
I mean, you got like what?
Comic booky.
So many books about zombies and mummies or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. Not really, but kind of.
Sure. So, to jump back to the mummification scene. So I was talking about sound effects. The scene ends and the movie starts with a mummy scream into the logo, and I think it's just so cool to like. It's like swell of music, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then the mummy logo
pops
up.
Almost like the wrap of the letters coming off of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like wrapped in bandages, like the wind is blowing it, and it's so nice. And then it like goes right into the scene with O'Connell and
don't forget the effect of Anubis aging and all the whatever coming off of it is very cool.
Yes. That's why I love that this movie opens showing. I mean, it's not accurate, but like showing the set in its like heyday, and then you go to the next scene and everything is covered in sand. Anubis is covered in sand up to his like neck or something. Like
it's like that.
It's so cool.
Cut to present day.
And
there's another. So that stinky guy, the guy who's in charge of whatever that's going to hang
the warden.
Fraser.
I don't know if he has a name.
Yeah, stinky guy. I don't know. I may have seen him in some other movie, but it's not my favorite. But he goes like, he's like, any last words? And he goes like, yeah, let me go. And he's like, and he talks to him Egyptian or whatever, and he's like, of course do not let him go. That's what he said. I'm like, what does he say?
I don't know. Apparently they had to call in someone to help them. Well, obviously they had to call someone to help them with the Egyptian because no one speaks it in modern day. So no one's sure of like the dialect and
what are they saying. Yeah,
they had to get someone. I also love that Imhotep only speaks like, so if you've watched the original Mummy movie, Imhotep speaks English. And it's just bizarre.
Wait, in the original Mummy movie, his name is Imhotep?
No, so his name he's Imhotep, but his name the movie fast forwards after he's a mummy to him being a real person in disguise, and his name is Ardfay, which is where they got the name for Ardfay in the new Mummy. Yes. And the plot is pretty much the same. Like he's trying to get Evie so that he can reincarnate a Noxuna moon and whatever.
I see.
It's pretty much the same.
So this really was a remake in a lot of ways.
Loosely.
Or trying to do its own thing with borrowing the story plots of what was already there.
Yeah, they made it more of an adventure movie.
I always thought it was just like there's a mummy that comes to life and that's the movie. Like no story, nothing.
No. So he doesn't even, you only see him as an actual mummy for like 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes, I don't think. It's very brief. The movie opens up with Boris Karloff as the mummy. He kills some guy. He wanders off. And then he like disguises himself as a human and no one notices.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blends
it's not a great movie. It's one of my favorite Universal monster movies. I love it. But
well, I heard the guy who's I guess was one of the producers or one of the tech guys, he said that, one of the movies he grew up watching was the original Mummy, and that scared him the most out of all the monster movies. I don't know if you heard him say something like that, but so, there was a good that's like a good motive for them trying to make another scarier version of the movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand that because that is my favorite of all of those movies.
Yeah, and the use of technology and the computer graphics and all that stuff was also booming at the time. So,
so I love before they get on the boat when they leave, I love that like reveal when Evie's like he's a scoundrel, whatever, and then he's like anyone kind of. It's like, well, you look so nice. Look how nice you look. And Jonathan pats him on the shoulder or something, and he like automatically checks for his wallet.
Oh, really?
You never noticed that?
I probably had. It's just like one of those little things you got to pick up on. I just, like I said, I was watching today. I was doing other things I had going on, so I probably had it on the background, and I wasn't looking up when he was saying that line. You know what? You know what happened was, you ever had this issue where I'm watching the movie and I pause it for a minute and I turn off the TV and I come back, it was still going, but I have it like on a turn off timer, so it'll turn off in like a couple minutes and then it'll stop. So I probably missed those couple minutes of that scene to kind of what's it called, to watch that part. So I was like, man, I should have just rewound it, because there's some, like I said, every scene counts in this movie for sure.
There's like these little comedy bits that like aren't in your face, and you catch them and you're like, well, that's really funny.
Let's talk about just the humor between him and Benny for a second, because that is comedy gold. That guy, I can't believe I just saw him in an episode of Blacklist, and it was like kind of a serious episode, and he was like this killer. Not really. He was being used by his wife or something. He had dementia, so he woke up he would forget every single day. So she would use him to kill somebody, and then he would wake up the next day not realizing he killed anybody. He would just relive like the same day over. Kind of tragic, I know, but I was like, this is Benny. He's a jerk. He deserves it. So it was kind of funny to see him in a different role and like not have an accent like he does in the movie, whatever accent that is.
I don't know.
Yeah, Benny accent.
Like, isn't it my little bunny Betty? And he has like a weird face, and he's like, I think I'll kill you now.
I think I'll kill you. And he goes like, goodbye, Benny.
He throws him over there. Yeah.
Right over the boat. I love that. And when he goes like, spring cleaning, throws the chair right at his back. How funny is that?
It's just so violent, but it's so good, and he deserves it. I just love.
But how, like, who thought of that? Like, Brendan, throw that chair at him. Like that's what I'm thinking in my head with the director or whoever's deciding. Be funny. Throw that chair at him.
Throw the chair. Throw it.
Or like, did Brendan Fraser just like improv that and actually throw it? Who knows? Like,
wait, can we briefly talk about? So in that scene, you hear the Egyptologist guy scream because Imhotep's killing him, and then Benny jumps out the window, and it's like,
and his eyes are like
story window.
I do love that. I was laughing too. How funny he is. He's very cartoonish in this movie, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, he's great. I love how
like,
also.
What? It's like, what's in it for you? He goes like, oh, you just hurt me more.
I mean, because he will. He knows it.
So,
I love.
I really don't have too much else. I was going to add to it. You really kind of hit everything on the nose for me, in regards to what moments you wanted to discuss. But is there anything else that you really wanted to stand out? That really stands out to you?
So much. I love this movie. I could keep talking and talking.
Me too.
But I wanted to bring up.
I know.
Benny, the Benny. You said they're comedy relief, but
sure.
I love. So in the beginning of the movie, Benny closes the door on him and doesn't let him in. And then at the end of the movie, when Benny dies, the thing is closing and he doesn't
good point.
let out. And I'm like, that's such a good kind of karma. He got his comeuppance. And it's exactly what I believe Evie says to him. They always get their comeuppance.
Oh, you know what? That freaks me out. that ending of not how he dies with the scarabs, right before that, when he's trying to get out of there and he's carrying the gold, and he's just, props to that actor. I don't know how they were able to do that. If that thing kept moving and they're just like, keep going, because that's like, it was like down to nothing. He's just so skinny and little, he just couldn't crawl out of it. I'm assuming they had some kind of, hopefully an emergency button on that thing. But I was like, oh my God, that freaks me out. I'm sorry, like that, something like that closing in on you. Oh, that just as scary as, a monster chasing you for sure.
And then even when he crawls out, all of like the torches start to like go out, and it gets like darker and darker. And I'm like, oh my God.
Like I said, clever. They never show it. Goes the dark. You hear the sound effects and him screaming, and you're like, goodbye, Benny.
Yes, goodbye, Benny. It always bothered me too at the end of the movie.
Wait, I'm sorry. And then do you realize he goes like, well, he's like, nah, that guy, he got out of there quick. He was a smart one. He goes like, nope, sounds like Benny. That's so good. Very subtle.
There's just so many good one-liners in this movie. They're like so good. Yeah. Oh wait, I love also when Jonathan's trying to read the book, and he's like, it's a bird, a stork.
Bird, a stork.
A manifest.
We say that all the time. We have to. Oh yes, I see. It's so funny.
And then they do it again in the second one, and it's just.
I know. It's so like, good. Yes. I remember I was like, please tell me it's a manifest. And it's like, it's a bird. Oh. I was like, ah. That was a nice callback for sure. That was my favorite. By the way, whoever's listening to this, if I said for sure, everybody take a shot every time I say that, because I think I said it like 20 times. It's I don't know. It's just a thing I just say now. I don't know.
The officially
I like it.
Brewsic and Boozy drinking game.
For sure.
You know what I also
7
do
years ago.
Whenever I'm in the library and I'm like looking at books, I always do what she does in the scene where she knocks all the bookcases down. She's like, Termosis. Like she's so surprised that she has a tea book in front of her. And whenever I'm in the library, I always think of that in my head.
Yeah. But I just want to say, yes, love this movie. I always will love it. I wish everybody could go out and see it if they have not seen it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Every movie has to be liked. But I mean, you're wrong. But still, I know, you're so wrong. It's like, why would you not like it? It's got everything, especially down to like good taste and humor and fun and horror. And it's a good ride. Fantastic. Yeah. Now, wait. Before there is something I want to bring up to you. Did you notice? I checked it today. Mm-hmm. How long is it until you actually see the mummy come to life? Come to life the first time he's moving. How long does it take for the film?
It's probably like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, it's an hour. After an hour.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah. So you're in a movie called The Mummy. Yes, they're talking about the mummies. You know it's coming. We've seen it in the trailers. It doesn't pop up for a while. Not until I think I timed it. It's like an hour and 2 minutes or something like that. This is when you finally get to that him just sucking everybody dry. So
it's crazy because then for the rest of the movie, it's just like so much mummy and like.
That's what I'm saying. But they just unleashed the movie that we were all kind of just sitting on. So it's a payoff, they do that in films. What's a movie like that had the biggest payoff? And I'm just like, where is this movie going? And it was like the last 25 minutes was just all action. Oh, you ever see Hot Fuzz?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That movie. I was like, where is this movie going? And I was just like, it's silly and funny. I'm like, is there anything going to happen? And then that last 20 minutes, maybe less. I was like, oh, this is what we're all waiting for. And it was just a lot of craziness. That movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we love it, but it's so silly.
It's so silly, but it's great.
Yeah. But yeah, that was okay. Yeah. That was my last thing I wanted to bring up to you. So I'm glad I remembered.
No, I could talk about this movie all day. I love this movie.
There's a lot to talk about for sure.
I want other people to love this movie like I do.
Mm-hmm.
The second one's great too. Watch that one. It's a little.
Yeah, I've had friends who tell me the second one's better, and I go, okay, come on. I cannot back that up. Not even the slightest. I thought it was fun. I remember seeing the trailers, being so hyped to go see it. I could not wait to see it. And it was the era of The Rock, and that was all that they were promoting, and that's all that they cared about this movie. And he's not even in it. And I'm like, but the trailers, that's all it was about, was him. And they did a good job of faking us all out for this movie. I don't know. It got too much with the whole the prophecy of the two of them being the ones to kill the Scorpion King, and I was like, I don't know. You lost me. And I love it as a movie. It's fun. It's definitely fun. I recommend anybody to watch it because it's a good time, and if you like the characters, it's great to see them back, and they're doing all the fun stuff that we loved from the first one as a movie. Pointless.
Not necessary.
But I wish they could have done so much more, and they just kind of killed it with that for me. So
yeah. If anything, watch this one. If you learned anything,
just watch the first one and then just keep it there. Yeah. It's timeless. That movie, to me, it's timeless. It's got some really, really special things going on in it. And it was like I said, I'm just glad that we got to experience it as that age, because we're now at a point now where we'll love anything we grew up with, but I watch it in this kind of, new, like I said, I try to watch it as if I've seen it for the first time, and it's hard, but I don't hate it or like it any less. That's the thing. I still like it to that level. Yeah.
I still feel like the kid that I was when I first watched it.
Yeah.
It's
like, how else are you going to enjoy your day if you got nothing to do for 2 hours? Don't worry. You want a mummy? Just wait an hour. He'll pop up eventually.
Well, I think that does it for us tonight. Thanks so much, everyone. Yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and follow us on YouTube. Make sure you like this video on YouTube. How to follow us will be in the descriptions.
For realsies. Almost.
For real. No. You know what we didn't say this whole episode?
What did we say?
Is only the beginning.
You know what we should have said though. Can
that be our thumbnail for this episode, please?
We got to find that. It just whatever meme someone came up with that. It's like when you're going out with your friends to the bar. Oh, wait, you just remind me something before we go real quick. This was the first time I also learned about what the plagues were really. This movie really goes into the plagues and kind of seeing that visually, and I was just like, what the heck is going on? And that was the whole what he brings with him as he comes back to become just a monster of death of the world. So
the 10 plagues,
that was the first thing, what's going on, what are all these bugs doing that weren't the scarabs? It's like, oh, okay, I don't know what that is, but keep going with it. It's scary.
Oh yeah, and then you get the it's like
the clips and all this other stuff, and
right.
It's great. Yeah, with the bugs.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I guess we're gonna sign off. We're your friends in time.
Friends in time, everybody. Be well. Forsh.